Issues of the day under T-Radar.
Yes, it's Issues Tuesday with T-Radar this morning. Morning, T-Radar.
Good morning. Isn't that little jump up and get excited kind of tune?
Isn't it? I love it.
Good for a cold morning.
It's kind of that half kind of newsy sort of serious sound. Like these are your headlines.
Yes.
No more daytime soaps.
Correct. No more daytime soaps. Yes. I'm not sure whether they've been taken off yet, but at some stage in the medium to near future, Days of Our Lives and whatever the other one is. What is the other one? Shows you how many daytime
Young
soaps
and Restless?
we watch. Yes, correct. And no matter when you turn those programs on, it always appears as if they're in the same scene. Someone is becoming overly emotional about something absolutely trivial.
The same scene in the same era.
Exactly.
Stuck somewhere in the early 80s.
That's right. I think we're quite behind, aren't we?
Yeah.
Sort of 10 years behind or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but of course, there are people out there addicted to it. I remember at school people used to race home at lunchtime and watch, whatever it was, Days of Our Lives, and race back again. And somehow there's something about the soap that just drags you in. It's like the heroin or the pee of television, isn't it?
Yes, I do remember. I think on holiday from school, you would just start watching.
Yeah.
On a rainy day.
That's how they get you.
But the themes were very adult.
Yes, there's all sort of affairs and trysts and property speculation. Something's always going on.
Were those sort of were they created for housewives who dreamt of another life?
I suppose they are. I guess they are that sort of daytime escapism. Instead of worrying about your problems, you can get involved with what Byron and Trent or whoever they are getting up to, and you can sort of just lose yourself in this fake world that goes on, this never-ending world of. I think there's probably about, half a dozen plot devices, and they just recycle them and all give them to different characters.
Daytime TV really is a strange ghetto, isn't it?
It is a strange. You've got your odd infomercials, and you've got your chat shows. Oh, that despicable one from the UK. Oh, it's so dreadful you can't help but watch it. Darren Brown or something, I don't know. He's always angry, so he brings someone on and he brings emotion out of them, and they confess to having, relations with their sister's daughter or something, whatever it may be, and then he launches into you're a despicable person. It was the light-hearted entertainment of your Springers and things, all that kind of thing.
Now, what was his name with the white hair? Old D. I want to say Donovan. No, that's not right. Anyway, I quite enjoyed Donahue. Yeah, that's it, Donahue.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed him back in the day, and then things got sickly sweet with Ricky Lake and.
Oh, saccharine.
Oh, and now you got Alan, and Oprah, of course, has been there forever.
Forever, madness. But still, nonetheless, a lot of people very upset, trying to petition people, TVNZ and various other people, to keep the soaps there. But in these harsh economic times, they'll be gone.
What I miss is the musical interludes they used to have. They used to have, because, I don't know, they used to run ahead of time sometimes back in the 80s on TV, correct, and then they'd put the fish tank up.
Oh, that was always a wonderful thing. In many ways, TVNZ, look, didn't make as much profit this year as they were going to. Only 2.1 million. Made 19 million, I think, last year. So profit down there. Perhaps it would actually be cheaper for them to run footage of a fish tank. Very popular on the interweb.
I'd watch it. It's great to just always have on in the corner.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they certainly, they're not screening footage of Parliament during the day, which is a wonderful soap opera in and of itself. You have to get that especially on one of the Sky digital channels.
It might distract us from the serious issues like the SAS being in Afghanistan.
Yes, and look, they've come out, I think the Norwegians revealed the fact that they're in Kabul or something like that. No, it's because it's always some foreign government who accidentally sort of mentions where we are, and they've come and said, oh, no, but they're safe, they're not in a danger zone. It's like, they're in Kabul. That's Afghanistan. Afghanistan, by its very nature, quite a dangerous place.
Pretty much, everywhere.
What's it called? Non-conventional warfare. There's no front line. It's everywhere's dangerous. There's car bombs all over the show, and yes, very dangerous. But nonetheless, that is the job they signed up to do. That's why we're paying them all that money to go out there and run around and jump out of helicopters and do their various things.
Well, they love it, don't they?
Yes, I suspect they probably do.
So why not give them the opportunity?
That's right. And it's one of those things, Afghanistan, 8 years Americans have been there now, but battling away, beavering away, doing their things. Is it any better? I suspect it could be.
No, it's getting worse.
Is it worse? Yes. In fact, a big battle yesterday, just near the border with Pakistan. I think 6 to 8 American troops killed, a couple of Afghanistani soldiers, bases attacked in a coordinated attack by hundreds and hundreds of militants. And, it was one of those weird things that rated a sort of a 30-second bit on the news last night, and you can kind of sit there and think, gosh, here was probably 8 hours of hand-to-hand combat with machine gun barrels overheating and getting hot, and life and death.
Well, can you remember any
terrible
event in recent history where a foreign force going into another country has made things better and it's actually got better?
No.
It's not until they've left has it actually got better.
No. Well,
Right.
what about some of the peacekeeping stuff in Bosnia and Serbia and places like that?
Oh, that's a good point.
They did sort of calm them down.
But they weren't an invasion force. There really was a feeling in Afghanistan, of course, that was an invasion force. You were kicking out a certain regime,
and it's always hard to know what to think about it, because you look at some of the ways that people are forced to live there, the sort of backwards thinking hillbilly religious beliefs that shut people's lives down, blowing at no education for women and killing any, one who wants to teach women and all that kind of thing. And you think, in many ways you can look at it and say, wow, that's their beliefs, but I think their beliefs are wrong. So how do you help people like that? And then you've got all the drug money that flows in and the insurgents. It is such a minefield of madness. It's difficult to know what to think. Sometimes you just have to think maybe there's something else to distract us.
Well, it kind of puts things in perspective. Okay, they're worried about guns and bombs and killings in Afghanistan, but back here we're worried about, what, cyclists?
Cyclists and parking fees. They seem to be the new thing. Cyclists in particular. Cyclists are the new sort of hate group, aren't they? It seems to be okay for people to hate cyclists. And if you're reading any of the letters to the Herald and the Editor, or probably any of your other local papers around around the country, there's the vitriol and the animosity directed towards cyclists. It's become part of the core.
It almost seems like cyclists are pedophiles.
They are. They almost are the new pedophiles. They're the hated. And all they're doing is getting out there and being just, a bit annoying on their bikes, riding around 2 or 3 abreast. People can't get past, and they're busy days to go and do whatever it is they want to do. But no, there's a cyclist in the way. Terrible. And, just the anger. Talkback radio is a flood with people moaning about cyclists, and then you get the cyclists back on who complain about people in cars. Terrible.
And it's all because, of course, that the terrible story of the cyclist hit on Tamaki Drive in Auckland,
yes.
And that's kind of what sprung this conversation.
It was the tipping point, really. Yes, the woman went through a stop sign apparently and ploughed into a group of cyclists.
So
terrible.
It would appear at this stage that the motorist was probably at fault, right?
Yes.
And yet the vitriol is against the cyclists.
Well, I think it's just one of those things. People had enough of them on their bikes with their Lycra shorts. There was a wonderful rant by Magda, what's her name, from Kath and Kim. Just lost all the weight. She was on an Australian program, sort of a comedy program the other day. Brilliant rant, her anti-cyclist rant. Very funny, very, And you do feel a little bit sorry for them out there on their cycles until you get stuck behind them on a winding piece of road and think, oh, God, why are you doing this? Because you do look at people. Are you a cyclist? God,
no, I'm a scooterist.
A scooterist?
That's different.
No, you're sort of in that happy middle ground, aren't you?
Yeah. Just fast enough to keep ahead.
That's right, but still vulnerable, still out there, exposed to the world of cars. People, shut away from you.
Though when I'm passing a group of cyclists, and I do quite often very early in the morning, because that's when they go out in packs. You've got to watch it before dawn. They're out there in packs.
Good Lord. A smug sense of self-satisfaction as you scoot past them.
Straight past, especially on the hill. That's quite good.
Good.
But I don't feel any camaraderie as I pass them. Then I don't feel any warmth from them.
No friendly waves to a fellow person out there clad only in a thin piece of Lycra and a helmet.
That's me on my scooter.
Your scooter Lycra suit. Marvellous. And you wouldn't be facing any parking fees, I wouldn't imagine, with your scooter. You could just park that anywhere you like.
Yep, just whip that. I found that process is a lot easier in Auckland than Christchurch. You park on a footpath out of the way in Christchurch, you're going to get a fine.
Marvellous.
In Auckland, anywhere, no worries.
No worries.
Very friendly
That'll change.
city.
Probably as a result of this, they'll have their minions over there in the council scanning the airwaves as they do, I suspect, to find other ways to extract revenue from people's pockets, whether it's, fining cyclists. I got a $40 parking fine the other day for parking in town on a Sunday. I had no idea that there was parking to be paid for on a Sunday.
How odd.
I've parked in central Auckland for a decade without any parking on a Sunday. Suddenly, $40 fine.
Where's the rage against that?
Where is the rage against that? I think if we took some of the cycle rage and directed it at the council for their parking things...
Absolutely.
Because, of course, now they're suggesting, paying parking in the evening, and which they say will enable people to get, to park closer to where it is they want to go, because all the residents, of course, park there, because the residents need to park somewhere, because you've got all these apartment buildings being lopped up over the city with very few places for people to park their cars.
Now, if I was a talkback host, T-Radar,
Yes?
I'd say parking wardens, nothing but thugs and thieves. But I'm not, so I won't say that.
No, they're just people doing their jobs.
That's right.
But what jobs they are. And to be fair, not compulsory, that job.
No.
Not compulsory.
There are other career avenues
There are.
one could take.
There could be, and probably ones without any sort of parking fines attached to them in those little avenues of life.
Indeed,
But
T-Radar.
nonetheless, we shall see what happens with this. Will there be a public backlash? Is it one of those things that they're attempting to, put this through and then surreptitiously push something else through on the other side? We'll have to stay tuned and find out.
You stay on the right side of the white line.
We'll speak to you again.
See ya. 25